Greetings everyone, and welcome to another week of BlastCast. I, of course, am Jarus, and with me as always is my bastion of common sense, Lightning Dragon. This week, of course, there has not been a massive amount of news. There's been mostly minor details.
We're still working on the game.
We're still working on the game.
Us.
Technical difficulties, please stand by. So no, we have here just a couple things that kind of noticed that I thought were interesting. And I'm going to go over those and then kind of get into the meat of what I want to talk about this week.
No potatoes.
First, no potatoes. No, there's not enough news for potatoes. Alright, so we have here that apparently the rotating nacelles is still a thing on the Cutlass, so that's fantastic. I was wondering if they're going to be rotating or not. Not that the fact that they're rotating is fantastic, but I'm glad to know whether or not they actually do. I was looking at the way they were built, I wasn't sure. Now, I just hope they don't make it so they flip and flop like the current model does. If anything, I think the engine should remain pretty much affixed with the exceptions of a VTOL for landing, and if you use the space brake, where basically the engine would shut off, flip 180, and then activate, so you would have a maximum reduction in speed. If they approach it like that and keep the engine stationary the rest of the time, I think it could look pretty damn good.
Yeah, other than the physical logic where if you had a center of thrust that was not in line with your center of mass, you know, suddenly point out of line with your center of mass, you'd have an uncontrollable ship. I always have to point that out. Yeah,
so that's why it's important. I said they have to shut it down, then spin it. Alright, looks like they also talked about how turret operators are looking at, might be able to work systems inside the ship. Turning your turret gunners, essentially speaking, into
co-pilots, basically.
Right. To what extent hasn't been made clear, but I'm interested in this. You have ships, for example, like the Gladiator, and that ship, for example, it's just a pilot and it's a turret gunner. But when the turret operator isn't shooting, or it could pass control of the guns itself in the gimbal fashion, so to speak, directly onto the pilot, he could be running the systems, in a sense turning them into a Rio seat with really, really great view.
Well, one of the things they talked about, I believe they were showing it on the Connie, was where you can transfer like certain controls. Like you as the captain like have all the controls, and you're like, okay, I want seat 1 to be piloting, and I want like seat 2 to be like, you know, radar or shields or something. You could dish it out per seat. So it might be something like that.
Yeah, well, if there's a distribution to be made, I'm sure that you'll be able to set that up. But I would imagine it would work very similar in regards to how the Super Hornet's Rio seat works. And just as I said, with a much better view. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the meat with no potatoes of what we're going to be talking about this week. Basically, CIG has been trailing blazes. What I mean by that is that they got deep into the whole engine trails thing and kind of lit the forums on fire. For a little while, the main page of Spectrum in general chat was almost exclusively post after post after post of engine trail complaints or people liking them. Now I'm going to put some footage here in the background of very, very, very early concept stage showing for Star Citizen way back towards the days of the pitch. As you can see, engine trails were shown back then. I don't have anything against them per se. They're just a graphical effect. I'm more interested in ship systems and subsystems, controls, things like that. That's what I'm interested in. Graphics, they've done a great job in the game. So, you know, coming up with the way things look. I'm sure that if the engine trails become, they don't look right, if they don't fit the way they want them to fit, if they don't animate right, that they will continue to work on them until they have a decent appearance, or just dump them entirely. There's been quite a few times that they've had ideas that have been completely and totally just changed. So it's one of those things that just let them experiment. For me, when I look at the engine trails, what I see is a tool to maybe get rid of that follow me arrow that we have in the cockpit, and because people will be able to see a trailing off of their screen a little bit as they're trying to chase somebody in pursuit. In a sense, it also makes up for those people who don't have head tracking. They can actually, in a sense, see the engine trails and follow them if they're close enough. And of course, when there's no engine trails, They can refer to the old Mark II eyeball and look at their radar. So it's one of those things that I hope we get use more visual cues and more systems instead of little helpers like the arrow. I think that the engine trails could be helpful for that. It does look a little like Homeworld, but I do love Homeworld, so I really can't say too much horrible about that.
I don't think engine trails are going anywhere because I think Chris is the one who was like, we want engine trails, and Chris being like I was basically running everything, but I know that Chris has said I want X or I want Y, and the rest of the team are like, okay, well here's a couple things, and then Chris looks at it and goes, that's not exactly what I was thinking. Why don't you guys work on this for a while and then come to me later and show me what you did? And so they will work without him micromanaging them. I think he's getting a lot better at this, by the way. And they'll come up with something that usually is a lot better. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head what thing in mind comes up, but I know I've seen that happen at least once or twice.
And let me just point out, if you watched Around the Verse and you saw how much Chris Roberts was practically glowing like an irradiated Chernobyl survivor about the engine about the engine trails, I can about guarantee you they're not going anywhere. Just deal with them. It's not a big deal. Worry about systems, worry about interfaces, worry about having really deep and meaningful combat and
especially
normal flying.
It's going to be like 90% of first-person games, so you're not going to see them on your own ship. So when you'll see them, you'll see them on usually like a hostile ship which you're trying to blow up. Therefore, it'll be easier to see them and then blow them up.
In a sense, it's also an identifying marker as well. Different types of engines, maybe from different manufacturers, will put out different colors. So in a sense, it'll help you clarify what targets you're engaging at distances. It's just little things like that. It's visual cues. It's not a horrible thing. One thing that does concern me is with the combat not being focused on the mains. It's heavily towards strafing and drifting as anything is. Engine trails look horrible when you go sideways or drift backwards. They're going to need to make sure that all that's accounted for. So if there's going to be sliding and drifting, that they don't clip through the hull. And of course, I know they're going to be working on that and make that, make sure that doesn't happen. But at the same time,
everything must be perfect, my precious.
Yeah, it's immersion thing. If you have these weird, unnatural looking engine trails, it's gonna hurt the game.
Even if they have it where it's kind of derpy, I don't think they're even going to show that to us because of how perfect Chris wants to be.
Well, they showed some of it Around the Verse. They showed some of the derp.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it's gonna be like, hey, here's a test version of the game. Oh, engine trails are screwed up. I don't think we're gonna have a test version with them all screwed up.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see how it comes out. So anyway, that's all there is to say about that. Engine trails are here to stay, guys. I don't think with Chris Roberts being as happy as he was about them, they're there. Just
hope that they dial them down to the point where they're a small assistance to identifying or tracking targets, and not like big, huge, like contrails across the sky. Oh, hey, a jet flew by there an hour ago.
All right, and one last note here. We're going to unfortunately talk about one of our favorite YouTubers,
the Mighty Jingles.
The Mighty Jingles. Most of the time, almost 99.99% of the time, I love his channel. I love Mingles with Jingles every week. I look forward to it every Monday. I don't watch all of his other stuff because I don't play all the other games that he plays, but I like his...
I still watch most of the other stuff.
Yeah.
There's a couple exceptions, but I mean, everybody has an exception.
Yeah, well, we like his stuff. Generally speaking, he's a great YouTuber. Of course, he put out a video about Star Citizen, which, of course, lit his community chat on that video on fire.
Over 900, almost 1,000 comments when I was looking at it, and almost every single one of them was either Jingles, you don't know what you're talking about in regards to Star Citizen, or Jingles, it's not EA that makes Call of Duty, it's Activision. It was kind of funny, but I mean, you have both sides of the argument. You have the people who are like, oh, Star Citizen's vaporware, and you have people that have like this very nicely written, well thought out, periods, spaces, caps lock, not caps lock, but like capitalization. I don't know the exact word I'm thinking of here.
Everything, yeah. Some people,
punctuation.
Some people just have all their information very well organized. Lightning and I, when we do these shows, these are off the cuff. We set out themes, we set out sections we're going to talk about. We go over them.
Our notes
and,
tend to be like 1 to 2 sentences, or just like a word. Like,
well, for example,
about this.
Our notes here: engine trails, good, bad, question mark. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's as far as we go for scripting these things. We just talk. So the thing is that you know, when it comes to these larger channels, when they're not inundated or they're not constantly keeping up with something like this, they can do a lot of damage to a game. And this is why I unsubscribed from a lot of the larger channels. I used to subscribe to Captain Shack, but I found that when it came to Star Citizen, things like that, the guy was so wrong about so many things so many times.
And this doesn't just extend to Star Citizen.
No, it extends to other games too. I'm saying if he's so wrong on this, and of course, you know, a lot of times Lightning and I talk and we'll throw out some information, and it's not 100%, but it's like, oh, instead of being 75% in World of Warcraft for PvP servers, it's nowadays 55. But I haven't played World of Warcraft in how many years? So I mean, that was based off of my memory. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, Wrath of the Lich King.
Okay, so there you go.
So the whole point is that okay.
By the way, I have never played. Well, I played for like a week when they had a free weekend, and I like maximum level is 20. I played for like 4 days. So I'm like, I don't like this game, and I never played it again. That's my experience with WoW. Yeah, but even with the percentage difference, the point we were making doesn't change. But to come out and basically, he was talking about the whole tax refund rebate thing and just missed the mark across the board. He also was talking about the funding after they make the game. There was a lot of people
and the ship systems and the ships still having issues. Like, well, because they haven't updated them. That's 3.0. That's what a lot of this is. This is not done yet. I mean, the video, I almost wish that he had refrained from making it for like another month. He had played 3.0 before he had decided to make this video, just because I think it would have avoided a lot of the issues he's talking about. But as I said, you know, this is a tricky thing, and when you really like certain YouTubers, so I guess the reason why I'm bringing it up is that, you know, we're not always going to be right, but we really do
a lot of research.
We do a lot of talking about it. We do a lot of back and forth. We spent hours and hours and hours talking about stuff before we even get into a show. And it's one of those things that, you know, I guess I feel a little bit upset when a very large channel that has, you know, 100 times the reach, 1,000 times the reach that I will ever have, maybe.
Yeah, in 1 hour they get like, you know, 100,000 views.
Comes out and just causes problems for something you love, and it's one of those things. It's more disappointing when it's a channel that or a creator that you actually have a lot of respect for. And so, you know, as I said, the reason I'm kind of bringing it up is I know we're a small channel. I know not everyone in the world watches this channel. I know that not everyone agrees with what we have to say, because we don't always agree with what CIG does. But you know, I'm always grateful when people go ahead and leave information, like, you know, or their thoughts or opinions or how they perceive things. Some of you guys leave some amazing posts. I mean, the only reason I don't share them on Citizens Corner because they're novels. And it's not because I'm ignoring you or don't think it's worthy. It's extremely worthy. It's just extremely long, and I try not to have like a 200-hour video. So other than that, I mean, you guys, as always, I said, just leave your comments down below, and we will do our best to address them. And if it's a long post, I am going to read it. I just may not respond to it in. Sometimes I feel like when I read one of those long posts, I can't respond to it appropriately. It's like, wow, you've written so much here. Only thing I can write is great post, because that is you know, between work and everything else, I don't have time to respond to everything like that. But I read it. I really try to keep up on it, and Lightning does too.
Yeah, I actually tend to go back sometimes. Usually I wait like a day or something before I read the comments, because like I know exactly when it comes out. Usually I'm awake for it. I can go, hey, the video's come out, and I can watch it, but I was there for it. So the only thing that's going to be different for me
this seems oddly familiar.
Yes, very familiar. Like the only thing that's going to be different for me is how Jarvis edits things. But there'll be like maybe like 1 or 2 comments, and it's like, you know, I can just watch this tomorrow or something, or maybe like 2 days later when I like have some time, and I'll usually read through every single one of the comments.
That's true. That's true. Like right here, I could say that a lightning dragon is a giant.
What?
Oh, maybe I'll leave that in. Okay. No, just kidding. Anyway, guys, as I said, leave comments down below. Short one this week, but as a matter of fact, there's really not that much to talk about. We're still waiting with bated breath The Evil Connie is supposed to be coming out anytime from the 6th.
Either in, what, like 2 days from now, 2 or 3 days, or anywhere from 3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, we will catch you next time, guys.
Bye-bye.